Hi, my name's Stu and welcome to another short review roundup on Flying Wiener. In this video we're going to talk about three films actually. Usually in these roundups I often talk about TV shows, but in this case we're talking about three films because I managed to, catch up on two films that I've wanted to see. One of them for quite a long time, and the third one is just a very new horror film that I've heard so much about. Now, if you're not familiar with these review roundups, I will do each one in a section. If you want to jump ahead to any of them, you can use the bar below at the bottom of the screen, or in the description you'll have the timestamps as well. And just for my regular viewers, I usually do these films in this case in the order that I like them in. So the first one would be the one I like the most. In this case, that is actually not applicable in any way. I actually like all three films, I would say roughly the same. So there's the order they're in has got nothing to do with how much I like them. I thought it just most fitting. Two of them are horror films, and I'll just sandwich the other one in the middle. So what are the films? The first one is Skinamarink, which is a very new horror film. A very low budget one, but we'll get into that. The second film is Mortal Kombat, which came out in 2019. And the third one is last year's Barbarian, also a horror film. And that's the order we'll talk about them in. So let's jump straight into Skinamarink. This was a film that has just got a very low budget of $15,000. It's actually made by a person who has his own YouTube channel, and he does these experimental horror films. And so this film studio thought, okay, let's give this guy some budget. I mean, obviously, if you think about nowadays films, $15,000 is obviously hilarious. You know, it's really ludicrous even. But it shows you that if you're creative enough, you know, you don't need a lot of money. You don't need these millions and millions of dollars to make a good film. And Skinamarink is that. The best description I feel that you could have for it, it's like you're watching a childhood nightmare unfold. To give you the brief synopsis, we've got two children, I believe they're 4 and 6 years old. They wake up and suddenly, in their house, suddenly their father's gone, and their doors and windows of the house are gone, and there is this evil entity that is, I'll call it, stalking them. And the film, it's very experimental in the sense that you could even, I suppose, call it artsy and avant garde, because the camera angles are a bit weird. It's all a bit grainy, so it's a bit, at times, a bit difficult to make things out in the dark or even in the light. So if you're not into those kind of things, you'll probably have a difficult time with this film. I do feel it's a bit too long, so they could have made it a bit shorter, because at times it feels a bit repetitive, because obviously within a house there's not that much to do. It's also, you know, some things are left sort of open to interpretation, so you do need to do some guesswork yourself, you know, if you want to try and get the whole story. So yeah, but it's a really good film because it really taps into this, you know, childhood nightmare theme, because there's some scenes there, you know, you're trying to make something out in the dark and suddenly a voice talks to the children. It just sends a shiver down your spine. It's done so well. So I feel that we really should want more of these films in cinemas. So support it if you can. If you're into horror, you should check it out, because it's definitely something fresh. And I hope that, yeah, many people take inspiration to make even more interesting horror films. The second thing we're going to talk about is 2019's Mortal Kombat, which I've not only had on my list for a long time, I've actually had the Blu-ray for quite a long time. Finally gotten around to watch it. I love Mortal Kombat. One of the first games I ever had was on the Sega Game Gear. It was Mortal Kombat 2. I've loved it since then. I haven't played the most recent games, I must say, but generally I'm a fan of the franchise. I love the web series they did a few years back. I thought that was rather good and entertaining. So this film, I feel it's very solid. You know, people like to talk about video game adaptations and they're crappy and whatnot. I don't feel that is the case anymore. It hasn't been for a long time. And I feel Mortal Kombat is just a solid film. It's great. The fighting is good. I like the characters. It's still a bit hammy, you know, and the jokes and everything. It's a bit cheesy, but that is what you want from Mortal Kombat. So overall, I feel it's just a really well-made entry, and I do hope that they're going to continue. I don't actually know what the status is of these films right now. But it's certainly very enjoyable, so if you like the games, if you generally like fighting films, you know, with martial arts in them and that, I think that you will like this a lot. It's gory enough, you know, obviously with Mortal Kombat you want some gore in there as well. It's not too much actually, so I would believe the games are a lot worse, but they've got one scene in particular that is, I'm sure will please every fan of gore. And just the characters, I just really like them. So I feel that they've taken the best of what Mortal Kombat can be and just turned it into a film. I thought it was really great, and I also thought the effects were really good. I really enjoyed them too. So yeah, if you like it anyway, then you probably will have seen the film, but if not, definitely check it out. It's a lot better than what you expect it would be. Last film we're talking about is last year's Barbarian. You might have seen it. It's got this cool red poster, you know, with a woman standing in a doorway. And yeah, so I heard so much about it. It popped up for me on Disney Plus. I was like, great! I don't even have to go out and buy it. I'll just watch it on the streaming service. And I really like it. I'm not really going to say much about the film because you should go into this really unprepared. You shouldn't know anything. Don't even watch a trailer. I didn't even watch a trailer. I just heard it's good and I was like, okay, I'm going to watch it. But to give you the briefest of synopsis for what happens in the film, we have this lady. She arrives late at night at an Airbnb that she has booked. Unfortunately for her, there is actually another person already in there. There's a man already in there who seemingly booked the Airbnb through a different website. They both show themselves each other their booking confirmations, etc. So it's a very weird situation. You've got two strangers in a house, and yeah, and it's a weird neighborhood, and I'll just say the horror unfolds from there, right? What I will also say is the film definitely doesn't go the way you expect it to, yeah? That is all I'll say about this. It's very fresh. We've got some really cool ideas here. I felt very claustrophobic at times. You've got some really cool horror moments. You've got many moments where you're expecting something to happen, like a jump scare, and it just doesn't. And then you've got other moments where the tension is built really well, and then finally you expect something to come up on screen, and when it does, it's just really satisfying because you're like, oh God, shivers down your spine and stuff. It's a really well made film. I really love how it's shot. Like I say, it gave me a really eerie feeling most of the time. It gets a bit, you could say, almost silly towards the end, but the horror, I feel, always lends itself very well to comedic moments, and you do also have some very fun actual comedic moments in here. You could say that the end it doesn't land completely, so if I had one wish for the film, I would say maybe tweak the ending a bit to I don't know, make it more satisfying. It doesn't feel quite, I don't know, it doesn't even feel really that tense, I'll be honest. So yeah, I would tweak that a bit, but it's a very cool film. I thought it was very entertaining. If you have a chance, definitely watch it, because, I mean, last year was generally such a great year for horror, and seemingly continuing this year. Like I say, we've got Skinamarink, so I really enjoy what is happening in the horror world right now. It's a really interesting genre. I've always liked it, but right now it seems to be a really great time to get into it. So Barbarian is definitely a high recommendation from me. That will be all from me today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe. It is the best way to support this channel. If you've got any comments on any of these films, please put them down in the comment section below. Or if you've got any other suggestions for films and TV shows, of course. Yeah, I'll leave it with that for today. I'll thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video on Flying Wiener. Take care. Bye.